Well, hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of our live broadcast, Book Cover Creations. Every single Wednesday, we go live right here in the group, and I design a cover on air with your help. So are you ready? Let's dive in. I'm really excited about today. We're taking kind of a gothic bent to what we're doing today. I'm super excited, so I'm going to go ahead and I am going to pull this up, and let's dive in. Start thinking about titles for this one, because I'm going to need your help on this. So let me put up my guidelines, and I am going to put up my background text and my fancy hook line, and I'm going to dive in and tell you a little bit about what we're creating today. I have got this beautiful girl. We're kind of creating this girl out of many pieces, and inside of her long skirt, we're actually putting this really cool tunnel type thing. So I'm really excited for this one. This is our model for today, and we've got part of her skirt here, which I'm building out. I've already cut this out a little bit, but I do have a bit of work to do on this one. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to put those two pieces of the skirt in a folder. I'm going to put a white layer mask over it, and I'm going to grab my brush on a hard round brush, 100% opacity black, and I am just going to get rid of some of that white glow around the skirt. So I'm just getting rid of that halo just a little bit. Most of it's gone, but I didn't clean it up when I was creating this or cutting it out earlier before we went on air, because I just did it a few minutes ago, and I just wanted to make sure that I had what I was looking for that. Now you can see it's kind of a little bit weird of a fit here, so I'm actually going to go ahead and I am going to click on the girl on the white layer mask. And on a soft round brush, so I'm switching my brush over to soft, I am going to kind of just start to paint off just a little bit of her so that it kind of blends in with the skirt. And then we're going to change up the skirt a little bit, and we're actually going to make it this nice, flowy, pretty skirt. Oops, sorry guys. That moved on me. And today we are using Photoshop CC, and we are using a Wacom Intuos Pro editing tablet. And I am just going into my brightness and contrast panel. I'm going to clip it to the skirt part of this. So I'm using a clipping mask on that one. And I am just pulling up the contrast and pulling down the brightness. You can kind of see how it goes from that matte gray to that darker black color. And it kind of blends it in a little bit more with her skirt. Now, like I said, we are going to be building this out. We're going to make this a nice flowy skirt. We're going to play with the background a little bit. And we're going to add this really cool like tunnel cave type thing to the bottom of her skirt as well. So I'm just going to, because right now the background's really light. I don't like it light. So I am going to darken that a little bit. Maybe a little darker than I actually want it to be. There we go. We'll just work with that, and then we'll change it when I'm done. But start thinking of a really cool title for this one. And cool stuff we're going to do on the back of this as well. So I did drop my cave layer in here. I do want to add this, but it's actually a little bit shorter than I want. So I'm going to build this cave out just a little bit. I'm going to duplicate my layer. And I'm going to hold my shift key down and move it straight up, because I want this to be a little bit higher. It's actually not terrible. However, I do want to convert this to a smart object so I can put a new layer mask over this. I'm going to paint it off where it goes off of the skirt real fast. So I'm just on a soft round brush right now, 100% opacity. I'm just painting it off of the skirt, and you can see how I had to blend it in just a little bit better. I might actually resize this just a touch. There we go. I like that better. And then on my white brush, I'm going to paint back in just a little bit. And then I'm going to reduce my opacity, so it's like 33%. And I'm just going to blend this in just a little bit so that it kind of goes with the skirt just a bit. I need to get rid of some of that stuff on the bottom layer of the cave. And I'm just going to turn this top on and off so you can kind of see where this is at. They've got some weird rocks down in the front. So on 100% opacity on that soft round black brush, I'm actually just painting that off a little bit. You can kind of see how it moved just a little bit. I've got a little bit of that sky right there in the middle. So I'm going to go back in on the white brush and paint that back in. And that's actually not bad at all, but it does kind of look a little cloney. So there's two potential fixes for this one. I can create a single layer out of this and then go in with my clone tool, my spot heal tool, and I can change it that way. Or I can actually flip this and then just blend it in a little bit. So I'm going to try flipping it first to see how it works, because that's going to save me a little bit of work. And you can kind of see already how that has started to look a little less cloned. It looks a little more blended. And then I'm just going to go in and I'm going to paint it off of where it goes off of the skirt. And then on a lower opacity, like 30-ish%, I am just blending this away from that outside edge of the skirt so you can still see it, but it's blended in just a little bit more. And so then I have to decide if I like it that size or not. I'm actually going to put those in a folder so that it's one single thing as I'm redoing this. And I am going to reduce the size of it so that it's a little bit, oh, that's better. Yeah, I like that better. Guys, let me know. Let me know if you're joining me live. I can't see your name because we are inside of a group and Facebook has privacy rules, but I want to hear from you guys. Let me know what you think of this so far and start thinking of some titles. And as you are messaging me, please add your name at the end so I know who I'm talking to. The next step is actually going to be to go in and kind of blend in those rocks. So I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. And I am just going to make sure there's no like weird shadowy, cloney things going on with this particular image. So I am going to go ahead and I am going to convert to a smart object. And as I do that, I am then able to go in with my clone tool and I am able to, sorry guys, I had to do a thing there. I got my puppy in the room. She's not cooperating right now. I guess I'm on my spot heal tool. I'm on my spot heal tool and I'm just, yeah, that's not going to work for me. So I am going back to my clone tool on 100% opacity. I am just painting in some rocks. Where anything looks a little bit blurred or like the lines are a little bit weird, I am just painting in rocks. I'm picking up different areas and I'm painting them in wherever it makes sense to paint them in. If you notice, I am selecting areas next to it. If I selected areas in the back, that would actually make smaller rocks that are in the wrong focus. So I want to make sure that I am, when I'm cloning things like that, I'm doing it right next to it on the same level. So it's the same blurriness, the same depth, the same coloring, the same shading, so that it looks like it's actually a part of this. And I'm just blending that in just a little bit. And we've got that beautiful sky back there. And it just blends right into her skirt, all the way up to her face. Now I do want to edit her face just a little bit. I want to do a little bit of retouching here. So I'm actually going to go down to the layer with my model on it. And I am going to grab my spot heal tool because I'm seeing some weird, might be her earring, could be a piece of hair. But right under her finger, there was something hanging off. So I am retouching that just a little bit. I actually want to remove her earring. So I'm just going to go right over top of the earring. And anywhere where I see imperfections on her skin, it looks like there were some little pieces of dust, some blemishes on her face. I'm just retouching that just the tiniest bit so that blends in a little bit more. There's some shiny little pieces of glitter in the corner of her eyes. I just wanted to tweak that. And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to alter her makeup just a little bit because I actually want it to kind of blend a little bit more with that sky down below. So I'm grabbing my color picker tool and I am just grabbing a couple of the different blues. So I've got some options. They're now in my palette. So if you look at my color palette up in the top right-hand corner, you can kind of see those colors that I grabbed. And I'm going to try maybe the darker one first. Oops, I was on a low opacity and I'm just going to paint over this. It's going to look a little clown-like for a moment. And I am just going to go down to either color or hue. Either one typically works. And then I'm just going to reduce my opacity. So it's just a little bit on that blue side. I'm going to add a new layer. And maybe I'm going to grab one of the other blue colors. And I'm just going to paint over where that pink color is. And you don't have to alter makeup, but you can, which is kind of fun. And sometimes it's fun to play along those lines. And then you always, always, always back that opacity up just a little bit. You can even like tinge her lips blue just a little bit there, which is kind of a nice look for that. And then we're going to go back with what we're doing. See how that blends in just a little bit? I kind of like how that's working. And I want to hear from you guys. What are you thinking so far? Obviously, I am going to be putting the title right across her waistline. So between her hair and that cave, I'm saving it right now so you guys can see what I'm doing. I'm going to work on the background just a little bit. I've actually got some ideas for this one. But before we go any further, I do want to work on the back cover a little bit because I kind of got something going on that I'm pretty excited about. So let me go ahead and I am going to pull up those files because I didn't get to drop those in yet. And so I'm just going to open those up slowly, slowly, slowly. Gonna open those up one at a time. And I've got some dead roses that we're going to be putting on the back because they kind of match her dress. Now, like I said, we are building out her dress. I am not done with her dress yet. But I did want to kind of work on the back just a little bit. So I am adding these flowers. Obviously, our color depth is going to be a little bit different. And I'm going to have to resize these roses momentarily anyway because I've actually got some petals I want to work with. So let me just put that there for right now. I'm going to change that up in just a minute. But I do need to find the rest of my petals that I'm going to be using for this one. Start thinking of a name for this particular retelling. It's not a retelling. This book cover. Let me know, guys. Let me know. So I've got this charming little pile of roses and the rose petals that are kind of like right there, resting on the ground. And then I've got, if I can find them, hang on. Almost got it. This one and that one, I think. I grabbed all my stuffed friends. I didn't have time to, oh, that was not the one that I wanted. Nope, so it's the other one, which means this one. All right, just about got it here. Opening up. I'm going to have some petals, there we go, falling down from those roses to the pile. Right there. Yes, I do like that. So with this, I'm actually going to have to desaturate it. So I'm going into my hue saturation level, and I'm going to clip it specifically to those bright red roses. And I'm going to pull back. There we go. So I pulled back my saturation, and I pulled back my lightness. And ta-da, it all matches. So then what I would do is actually go in there, and I might do this in a little bit, and I will space out some of those petals. I'm going to move those around a little bit because right now they're kind of falling from the center. But I'm not overly worried about it right this second. I just kind of wanted to give you the vibe of what we're going for here. And I am going to go into my brightness and contrast panel and create a clipping mask. And I'm going to bump my contrast way up. And then I'm probably, yes, I am going to bump up that brightness so that we can see that as well. Now, obviously, that pile of roses is kind of floating there at the bottom. So now I'm going to go under it, and I am just going to grab my gradient tool, and I am switching it to color over transparent. It's a little bit hard. And on a black gradient radial tool, I am just kind of painting in some ground here. And there we go. And I am right now just kind of creating this little room-like thing with that gradient tool. So it kind of looks like it's blended in. And then I actually want to go on top of it because I want some darkness over those leaves up at the top. I'm going to back my opacity up on that one just a little bit. Nice. Good, good, good. All right. How are we feeling? Do we love it? Let me know and start thinking of those title names because I'm going to need those in just a minute. All right. So the next step is going to be to save this real fast. And then I want to build out her skirt just a little bit. So I have some fabric that I have pulled for this. There's a couple of different ways that I can be doing this. I want to be doing this. Actually, I need to make that just a touch darker. Let me... What are we doing? Uh-oh. I don't know what happened to that one. Let's try this one. There we go. I turned these into the correct colors earlier, so you guys didn't see that part, but you have seen it in previous videos. So you guys know how that works. And we're just kind of creating it so it looks like... Oh, I see what I've got going on here. So it looks like those panels in the front are flying up and she's got this whole world built into her or under her. We're creating that right now. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to flip that one around. So I'm going into edit, Edit, transform, flip horizontally. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and put a layer mask over that because I don't want the stuff on the right side. And I am just painting that off with that layer mask there. Let's see. Oh, this was bigger fabric. So I've got, let's see. It kind of depends on which side I want to move this on. I can rotate it. I can flip it over. I can do all sorts of fun things with this one. Oops. I don't know what just happened there. Sorry, guys. Apologies. Let's see. Edit, transform, horizontal. And then we can either let it kind of go up like that. We can make it smaller and go down. I can put it behind her. That kind of allows it to have like the swooping. I kind of like that. That kind of works for me. I'm going to add a little bit more down in the one corner, I think. So I am going to turn on that layer that was just a little too gray for me, and I'm going to convert it to a smart object. And then I am going to rotate that. So edit, transform, flip horizontal. And I do want it to be tipped down. So I've used Command T so that I can tip it. I don't like that, but I might like that. There we go. That works, and I actually might drag that layer above my cave layer. And then I'm going to duplicate that and put that on multiply and back my opacity up just a little bit. And at that point, I'm actually going to want to blend it in just a little bit differently. So on a soft round brush, that is the wrong tool. Soft round brush oops. Oh, I see exactly what I just did there. I'm going to put that in a folder, then do that. There we go. I'm just tapping off just a little bit of where I need it to blend in. And I've got this weird white rim around it. So I'm going to real quick switch to a hard brush. I could do it on a soft brush if it was small enough so that wouldn't show the fuzziness. But I am just getting rid of that yucky old halo, which we do not like around our fabric. There we go. There we go. So then on top of this, I'm actually going to add a layer. And on my gradient tool, on that gradient tool, I am just popping a little bit of darkness over the center there so it blends it in just a little bit. So then at that point, I'm actually going to need to go ahead and, I'm looking at your title suggestions. The Hidden Cove, Lady of the Lost Isle, Immortal, Beloved, The Whispering Stones. Wow, fancy. Fancy, fancy, guys. Let's see. I do have a little something I may try for this background because I'm not necessarily loving this particular look for it. So let me go down and let me go into, I gotta find it. Hang on. Where's my thing? There it is. I have a lot of folders up, guys, to help me with all this fun stuff. So I've got some cave-like elements. And it comes down to, do I like them or do I not like them? And I think I'm just going to have to try things and see where it fits. These do look very hand-drawn, but if I use them in the correct way and I Gaussian blur them and whatever, it is going to look a little bit different. So this is definitely just playing to see what's actually going to work. I don't like the red. So let's try something else. They've got some bluish tones here. Let's see if this works for me. Let me try color correcting this a little bit. I'm actually going to go to layer, new fill layer, solid color, and I'm going to click OK, and then I'm going to grab that light blue color that I was working with earlier, and I'm just going to go down to color, and we can kind of see how it's altering it a little bit. I'm not necessarily loving it, but I do want to see if I can make it fit a little bit better with that cloud look. And I don't like it. I just don't like it. I am going to try a different one. And it's also incredibly possible that I'm not going to use all of this. I might just put it in part of this, and I could put a layer mask over it, and with my soft ground brush, 100% opacity, nope, that is not a soft ground brush, that's a hard ground brush. I am going to paint it off just a little bit. So it doesn't necessarily need to be in all of the areas, and I'm just reducing my opacity, and I am painting it in just on parts of it. Maybe I'll use a different section down lower. Just to give it a little kick of color. And again, we're going to put the layer mask over that, and we are going to paint it off. But it does have some color and some look to it as we go through this. There's an interesting like red and blue one. Ooh, purpley. That's pretty. And we're just going to add it over there to kind of give the skirt a little bit of a kick. And once again, we're going to paint off the areas that we aren't necessarily loving so much. I'm going to reduce the opacity altogether, just to kind of give it a little bit of a kick there. Actually, I might reduce the opacity on all of these and see how that works for me. And we're just going to play with it until we kind of like what we're seeing. There we go. That's a little bit better. It almost kind of looks like there's some interesting like lighting going on here. I'm going to use a little bit of this, I think, on the spine. So I'm going to put that over toward the spine right now, just so I don't have to remember to do that later. And I'm just adjusting until I like it. And it's actually on the back cover as well, which totally works for me. And on a lower opacity, like 45%, I'm just painting it off of certain areas. And I actually liked it down by the skirt. Not bad. Okay, not bad. What do you guys think? Let me know. Still getting some great title ideas. I want to continue to hear from you as we are doing this. And I am going to play with my contrast and brightness for this as we go. Okay, I do want to work on her head just a little bit. There we go. So I am actually going to zoom in just a bit here. And you can see we've got some halo going on in the skirt. I'm going to work on that momentarily. But I want to work on her flowers in her hair because I want to brighten those up. Right now they're very, very dark. So I'm just using my lasso tool and I'm getting the majority of the flower here. We'll piece it out momentarily. And I'm going to go into a brightness contrast layer. And I am just really very strongly going to pull that up. And then on that layer, I'm going to use a white brush, 100% opacity, and I'm just brushing on, I'm going to clipping mask that so it doesn't get on my background. And I am just brightening those flowers. I can brighten the other flowers too if I want. There's a little bit in the center I don't want to do, but I definitely want to get the majority of these roses, but it's not bright enough for me yet. I'm just right now just making sure I get the pieces that I want. And then I'm going to duplicate this layer. It's going to continue to have that clipping mask, but now it's extra bright. So I'm going to switch that over. I'm going to take it off of the black flowers because those were fine. And then I'm going to lower the opacity on the red flowers just a little bit. And that's something I'm actually going to have to take a look at pulled back so I can tell how bright it is, because that right now is really bright. So I've actually got it down to, oh man. Okay, so I actually didn't need that other layer. It was bright enough as it was. So that works for me. I'm going to go in, I'm going to brighten her hair just a tiny bit. So we're going to zoom back in here. And as we do that, I am just going to lasso part of her hair, not all of it, but part of her hair. And I'm going to go into a brightness contrast panel, and I am going to use my clipping mask, and I am just going to pull up the brightness on her hair, as well as a little bit of that contrast. And on a soft brown brush, 100% opacity, I am just painting this on to the majority of her hair. I do not necessarily want to be dealing with her skin. I don't necessarily want to be dealing with her outfit, but I do want that hair to be just a little bit brighter. And when I pull back, you can kind of see the difference between turned off and turned on. So at that point, it may actually be valuable to us to, oh, I got to get her hair on the other side. It may actually be valuable to us so I actually want to put a little kick of light back there behind that skirt. I think it's going to work well for me. So I'm going to find my skirt layers, which I have right here. Beautiful. And I am actually going to grab one of my flare brushes, which no, I'm not. I do not have that particular thing plugged in there. So my where I store it, my external hard drive is not plugged in, so I cannot access that. But I do have other flares that I can be using and will be using right now as I open that up. And I'm going to grab, I'll just grab this. I know it's pink. It's okay. We're just going to see how this one looks before I go altering the colors on this. And we're going to change it to screen. If you have not seen our other episodes about why screen changes when you've got that black, you should totally check that out. And I am just lowering this so that it kind of looks like it's coming out of the skirt a little bit behind there. And I actually definitely need to change the coloring on this one. So I'm actually going to take it back to normal. And I'm going to put a blank layer over it. I'm going to grab that light blue color, and I'm just going to paint over that layer. I'm going to create a clipping mask. I'm going to change my blend mode down to color. And then I'm going to convert that to a smart object. And then I'm going to change my blend mode to screen. So it'll do the same thing that the pink just did, only not pink. So then I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. And I'm going to reduce my opacity just a little bit. Or a lot. There we go. So it kind of looks like it's glowing from that particular cave, but it's separating the skirt there. And I'm actually going to duplicate this layer. I'm going to move this because I want to see how this affects that up here. And I'm actually going to drag it beneath my layer with the girl on it because I don't want her hand to be dyed colors there. Fabulous. And now I'm actually going to drag another copy down below the skirt here. So I actually have to drag it down below the skirt right there. There we go. So we're highlighting her. What just happened? It moved into one of my... Where did that go? Oh, there it is. Gotcha. It moved into a folder, so I had to take it out of the folder, but then I didn't want to cooperate. There we go. So then I'm going to duplicate that one more time. And oh, there it is. I see. So now I'm just using this as an accent to kind of highlight her. So that it helps her stand out just a bit. There we go. And so I'm literally just moving some of this highlighting around to different areas. Why would that not work? Maybe we need to do better. I don't know why that didn't work. Oh, I do know why that didn't work, because I'm on the wrong layer. There we go. That's where I needed to be. And I'm just using this to separate her and her skirt from the background here, which is apparently under one of my black gradient things. There it is. I knew I had a layer somewhere. Aha. So I'm just going to, on a low opacity, I'm just going to reduce this just a little bit so you can kind of see that separation there of her and the cave. Pretty cool, right? I'm liking it so far. I actually may want to try to put some of those rose petals over by my girl on the cover. So I am just looking for those layers right now, which are somewhere. There they are. And I'm going to, let me just pop that right in there, flowers. And I'm going to duplicate that layer. And I'm going to drag that down beneath the girl. It switched on me. Sometimes if you drag it a little bit too far, it goes to another image. And then you have to backtrack and fix it because it's not cooperating. Okay. There we go. So I'm just going to bring this whole thing right over here. And I'm going to make it a lot smaller. And I'm going to turn stuff off momentarily. And I'm just making this like small enough so that it kind of looks like it could potentially be here. I'm going to turn this into a smart object. And then I'm going to be able to take my lasso tool and I'm just going to grab elements from this and I'm going to lasso it and click copy. And then I'm going to keep going back to that particular layer. And I am just grabbing little sections of these and just moving them around on my screen. And I can do them in different instances. So right now I've kind of been clicking like 3 at a time. I can do 1 at a time. I can do 2 at a time. And I can just move them around where I'm going, what I'm doing, what I need to do to make this look like it fits in here. Copy. And let me turn off that main layer so you can kind of see what we're working with at the moment. And we have the ability to then move these around and change these up. And so we can kind of put those in there. I'm going to duplicate some of these and then just paint part of them off on 100% opacity. so that they actually go. And then I can just kind of rotate it so it's facing a different way. And maybe I want to duplicate this one. And I can just straight up rotate that. And maybe get rid of one of them. And I'm just kind of making it look like it's falling down here. And there we go. So then I'm just going to take all of those and pop those. And to see what that was, I'm going to pop those into a folder. I'm going to grab my hue and saturation. And on a clipping mask, I am going to pull my saturation way down. And I'm going to make them darker. There we go. And I actually might, I very well might duplicate this, put those in a folder, clip that back to it, and then go inside of my folder, and I'm going to change my blend mode to multiply so they're a little bit darker. So we've got just those little pops of the flowers there, which will resonate with the background, but I want them nice and dark because I don't want them to be a central focus of this. And then we've got that. So then we need to start working on our title. And I am just going to take a look at these. The Hidden Cove, Lady of the Lost Isle, Immortal Beloved, The Whispering Stones, The Blighted Rose. I kind of like the Immortal Beloved. So let me go ahead and I am going to start adding that in. And I'm going to grab a text, Immortal. And I'm going to do each of these on a separate layer because we don't want those overlapping, so I have the ability to change things up. We want something that's going to be a little bit more on the scripty side. So I'm going to go into my fonts, and I'm just going to see what fits for this. And I'm just scrolling through. I know you guys can't see all my fun fonts, but I've got a billion of them. So give me a second as I'm scrolling through this, just to kind of see. That could potentially work. It does not look bad. Let me see if they've got... Nope, no glyphs on this one. So let me go ahead. I'm actually going to pull up the effects on this one, because you guys know I like to mess with my effects. And, oh, that's better. I like that color blue. And I'm going to go ahead and I am going to type in Beloved. Oh, I kind of like that. So let me go back in. Sometimes you have to like capitalize the beginning and end letters, and it really stylizes it a little bit more. And I really like how that's situated right there. Oh, you guys. So the only question now is if I want to bump it up just a tiny bit so the cave is a little bit more exposed. And the answer is yes, I do. So then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to duplicate one of those layers if I can get it to stop highlighting both of them. And I am going to drag that down below, and I'm going to write author name. And I'm going to make that a little bit smaller. And I had actually considered putting a frame on this, but I kind of like it this way. I think this looks pretty dang cool. Yeah, I think this looks pretty dang cool. What do you guys think? I'm going to turn that guideline down just a little bit. What do you think? I am liking this so far. I'm going to go ahead and I am going to duplicate the author name, and I'm going to go into Edit, Transform, Rotate 90 degrees clockwise. I'm going to reduce the size of that just a little bit, and we're going to pop it over here on the spine. And I guess that was kind of centered there. And then I'm going to grab the title, and I'm going to pop that into a folder, label it title. I'm going to duplicate that, and then I'm going to go into Edit, Transform, 90 degrees clockwise, And I'm going to reduce the size just a little bit. Obviously, spines are going to change just a touch as we do things, because spine widths change. So it is what it is with that. And I am going to go ahead and I am going to duplicate author name, and I'm going to type fancy hook line. And I'm actually going to rotate this back so that it is straight, so counterclockwise 90 degrees. I'm going to put our fancy hook line up here. I'm actually going to be moving my text down just a little bit. I may even reduce the size of the text on this one because I feel like this doesn't need to be super huge. And my hook line I want to bring down just a bit so it's not touching my roses. I feel like some little old lady, don't touch my roses, you kids. And I do want to blend in those roses on the bottom just a little bit. And so I am going to go in and I'm going to find where my roses are. Oh, wrong guess. I think, oh, because it's in the flowers layer. That would be why. And I just have to find the bottom layer. Beautiful. I'm going to put a layer over top of it and clipping mask that right to those roses on the bottom. And I'm going to use the gradient tool on black over transparent. And I am just going to start to pull it up along the bottom. And I know it kind of like gets rid of it. It blends it in. So I'm going to reduce the opacity. But you can kind of see how it centers that light a little bit on this. And it grounds it just a little bit more. So I am going to do it on the petals as well, because these are not floating petals. These are like sitting there petals. And you can kind of see where that is coming in. So now I want to blend in those flowers up at the top just a little bit. So I'm going to find the layer with the flowers at the top. I'm going to add a layer, and I'm going to use that clipping mask. And I'm going to do the same thing, but just on the sides. You can kind of see how it's eating away at the side of the flowers. I just want to blend it in just a little bit and just a touch on the bottom, just where there are bright areas. And then I'm going to back that opacity down so that it kind of starts to blend in just a little bit. I actually added a new layer with a thing because I need to go a little bit lower than the rest of it. There you go. And you can kind of see how that fits in there. And I actually do like how that is situated there. So the only thing I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to find that center layer. There it is. And I'm going to duplicate that. And I'm actually going to take it. I'm going to drag it over to my spine. And I just want a couple of petals there. And I just want to keep them right on the spine. And I want to make those dark. So I'm going to go into a brightness contrast, clipping mask. I'm going to pull the brightness way down and the contrast way up. A little too dark. With my contrast, and my brightness up just a touch. And there we have it. Immortal Beloved. What do you guys think? Do you love it? Let me turn the frame off so you can kind of see how that looks. Dang, you guys, look how cool that is. I am completely loving this. I would love to hear from you guys. Let me know how you are feeling about it. Alyssa says it's gorgeous. I'm in the school pickup line, so it's hard for me to see on the phone, but it's looking good. I'm going to guess this is Amber or this is Mel. One of you is picking up your kids. Speaking of which, I've come to the realization that this is a terrible time for a lot of you because you're picking up your kids. It just happens to be really bad. So I'm actually going to bump this from now on an hour earlier in the day so you guys can join me while we are live broadcasting these gorgeous covers. So from now on, we are Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern so that more of you can join us live. And I want to hear from you. What kind of cover do you want to see next week when we are live right here at 2 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays inside of our Cover a Day group? Let me know. Give me your suggestions. Give me your ideas. What covers are you looking for? And you guys know if you buy it while I'm still on air, which means you've got like 2 minutes left, you can get it for only $100 as opposed to $200, $250, $300, depending on what cover it happens to be. This one is for sure a $250 cover. I might even bump it up to 300 because it's pretty dang cool. And you can get it for $100 while I'm live on air before it goes back to its normal price over on coveraday.com. You can always hang out at coveraday.com for well over 100 covers. We've got all sorts of fun and fabulous things. Can I show it again? Yeah, hang on. There you go. There you go. Let me go ahead and, ooh, aha. There's hundreds of covers over on coveraday.com. Every single day, I launch a brand new cover for $100 right here inside of our group on Facebook. If you are not a member, if you're watching this replay on YouTube, you can come on over to our live broadcast page. It's why I cover a day. I can drop the link down in the show notes down below. And I will be back next Wednesday for a brand new cover. I'm super excited for this one. And we've got some really cool things coming up in the next couple of weeks. So guys, go ahead and let me know what you want to see, because you can actually kind of custom design a cover while I'm live on air. I'm just saying. Lots of fun. Come join me next week. We vote every week on Instagram stories, except for today because I knew what I wanted to do. But usually I let you guys vote and help me design it while we're live on air. So I'll see you guys again next week. Until then, have a great day and stay inspired.